Let's discuss the concept accounting equation. Accounting equation. Okay. Accounting equation is nothing but what the business own as well as what the business owes to others. Okay. Owning and owing. Always remember these two should match. The owning will be named as asset. The owning will be named as asset. Owing could be to the owner he himself. The business could have been started by some X, the X being the owner, and the owner's contribution is always named as capital. Named as capital. That fund is not sufficient enough to run the business. Sometimes we could have received the money from outsider also. That money will be named as liability. Liability. So capital plus liability is equal to asset. So in simple sense, A is nothing but C plus L. Or C is equal to capital is equal to what? Asset minus liabilities. Or liability is equal to what? Asset minus capital. Okay. This is how we can understand the accounting equation. Now let me explain each and every concepts in detail. What is called asset? Okay. Enterprise owned resource. Enterprise owned resource. That's why I use that here being owned. Owned resource. Okay. And that enterprise has a control. That enterprise has the control. Either they can use it business purpose, or they can keep it idle, or they can discard it. Whatever they want to do, they can do. They have the control. And that particular thing will give you benefit for more than some years. Future economical benefit should be there. If all these conditions are satisfied, then it's called as a future economic benefit. Okay. Any monetary benefits you need to derive from this, then it's called asset. Or in simple sense, any payment you made for this, that payment gives you benefit for more than 1 year. When payment is made once, benefit is for more than 1 year. Okay. So it gives me benefits 1 plus year. 1 plus year. 1 plus year. That's very, very important. Whatever the payment you make, that payment should give you benefit for more than 1 plus year. 1 year means accounting period. The accounting period usually starts with 1st April and ends on 31st March. Like calendar year starts on 1st January and ends on 31st December, and means academic year starts in June and ends on June. Like this accounting year starts on 1st April and ends on 31st March. Is that okay? Why do I want to have that one? Very simple. To compartmentalize the life of the business, to know whether the business is progressing or not. Periodical evaluation is required, right? So only then we can determine the business growth. Okay, some say Tata Steel Company started almost 150 years ago. I am not exactly aware about the number. Probably it should be more than 100 years. 150 years, we'll assume. Maybe more than that also. 150 years. I want to know what is the profitability of the business by the end of the closure of the business. Means it's not really possible. If I start and run a business for 3 months and I'm shutting down the business by a matter of 3 months later, means I can find out the profit and loss by the end of 3rd month. But the Tata Steel Company runs for the years, even century. We cannot wait for calculating the profit and loss from such business. Then how do I calculate? We can compartmentalize the life of the business into years in short form, 1 year after 1 year. What is the progress of this business for this year? What is the progress of the next year? What is the progress of the next year? Is there really growth existed compared to the earlier year is also going to be analyzed. For that only this accounting year matters. So accounting year is nothing but to determine the profitability and growth and progress of the business periodically. Right. Whatever the payment you do, that payment gives the benefit only within that accounting year will be called as expenses. Whatever the payment you give, that payment gives you benefit for more than one accounting period. After that year also, then it is asset. For example, I supposed to prepare an accounts for this year. The year starts on 1st April 2022 and this year gets over on 31st March 2023. Okay. This is the year. This is the year. Is that okay? Now, whenever I pay the rent to rupees 10,000, how many days I can enjoy the benefit? I can enjoy the benefit only for that month. Then this rent will be expenses. The rental payment gives me benefit for the month. Okay, that month only. And that benefit is also expired. That benefit expired before 31st March. Thereafter, you are not allowed to stay. For example, if I pay the rent on 10th of March 2023, okay, the real payment gets over on, means your enjoyability of staying that accommodation gets over by 10th April 2023. Whatever the rent you pay, assume that the rent paid by us is 15,000. This is nothing but the payment made by us. The payment made by us is 15,000. The year ends on which date? 31st March 2023. Am I right? Whatever the payment we make, that payment is enjoyed or expired within 31st March will be called as expenses. Expenses. Any payment could be enjoyable after this period, then that will be an asset. That will be an asset. Is that okay? Now the rent to what you have paid here being 15,000, covering the period from 10th March to 10th April. So these are the period for which that 15,000 is going to be covered. Here, from this date to this date is already expired. As on 31st March, I am going to close the accounts as on 31st March. As on 31st March, how many days are over? Can I assume this is being 20 days and this is being 10 days? Don't go for the exact number counting here. Roughly, I'll have 2/3 in March, 1/3 being enjoyable in April. So in this 15,000, 2/3, 10,000 will be called as an expenses. Another 5,000 rupees could be enjoyable after this accounting year will be named as asset by the end of the accounting year. By the end of the accounting year, this will be the asset, right? In general, whatever the rent you pay will be enjoyable within the short span of time, will be called as an expenses, will be called as an expenses. Is that okay? Whatever the payment you make that gives the benefit for the more than one accounting year, 31st March later also you can enjoy, then that portion will be an asset. Is that okay? The enjoyability, future economical benefit, that enjoyability happens after 31st March will be your asset. The enjoyability is expired before 31st March is not an asset, it's an expenses. Okay, rental is an expenses. I purchased the land and building by paying 1 crore rupees. What happens then? The amount I paid 1 crore rupees for the purchasing the land and building could give me the benefit for the years together, probably 10 years, 20 years, more than that also. Then that will be an asset. Is that okay? So you have to understand the difference between asset and expenses. Asset and expenses both are payment. Asset and expenses both are payment. Okay. That payment benefit is expired when? Before the end of the year. I assume that the end of year being 31/3/2023. So the benefit is enjoyed within that period will be expenses, will be called expenses. If the payment gives you benefit more than 31st March 2023, then it is an asset. It is an asset. Is that okay? And let me go with one more idea. Even after 31st March, it gives me benefit. Not only even after 31st March 2023, even after 31st March 2024, even after 31st March 2025, and so on. So, after this, I can now subdivide this further. So, this payment gives me benefit beyond, I will make this way, more than this period, okay. The benefit will be more than this period, 31st March 2023. But the benefit is over by 31st March 2024. Okay, the benefit should be anywhere between 31st March 2023 to 31st March 2024. Clear? And this will be still goes further also, still goes further. Okay, more than 31st March 2024 also it will still give benefit some more years. Then what about that payment? That payment is an asset. But if the benefit is enjoyable within 12 months from the end of financial year, the benefit is enjoyable within 12 months from the end of the financial year. The end of the financial year is 31st March 2023. From there 12 months, 31st March 2024, within that period you can enjoy. Beyond that you cannot enjoy. Then that asset is named as current asset. That will be named as current. Currently you are using, later it will not be an asset, and still you are able to enjoy the benefit even after 31st March 2024 and life together, so many years it will be having any benefit. Okay, then it is called non-current asset. For example, this rent payment, I already give this example, rent payment 15,000. In this rent payment 15,000 rupees, as on year end 31st March, accounting year end 31st March 2023, I enjoyed 10,000 rupees benefit, right? So if I want to vacate on 31st March, I will just go and negotiate with the landlord. Sir, I have given this money for up to the 10th April because of my vacation. I have to leave ahead, so I'm leaving 10 days ahead. Kindly give some discount. You can ask that. So this amount you can get refunded. Maybe, rarely possible, maybe assumed to be refunded. Now, this benefit is not expired as on the year end. You still have the period to enjoy later. Right? But how many years you have the possibilities to enjoy this 5,000 payment? Only matter of 10 days after this year. Then what sort of asset is it? Definitely it is an asset. And now the question is, what sort of asset is this? Current assets or non-current assets? This is current assets, because from the end of 31st March you can enjoy within another 1 year. Then it is called current. This will be called as current asset. Okay, if you are able to enjoy the benefit even after 12 months of also from the end of the current financial year, then that will be called as non-current assets. That classification is very, very important. Right? So accounting equation is nothing but understanding what the business own and what the business owes, and what the business own is named as asset. That asset could be classifiable as current assets and non-current assets. The idea of classifying this is also based on the period of enjoyability. The payment can be enjoyable for within a short span of time and enjoyable within the end of the financial year, current financial year, named as expenses. The payment gives me benefit beyond the current financial year end, but within 12 months from the end of the current financial year, then it is called asset, but current asset. But after that also it goes more than 12 months, then it is called non-current asset. And what the company owes to the owner also, because owner is different from business. This is called entity concept. So owner and business are not same. If I have 100 rupees in my shirt pocket, transfer that 100 rupees from shirt pocket to the pant pocket. Can I say that I get 100 rupees revenue in my pant pocket? Both are myself, both are my money only. So the amount 100 rupees transferred from the shirt pocket to pant pocket will have no any revenue change. But if I have 100 rupees in my shirt pocket, transferring that to the cash box of the business will be treated differently, because cash box of the business is different from the owner, Sridhar, myself, right? So both are different as per the business entity concepts. When I transfer the 100 rupees of my shirt pocket money to the cash box of the business, that will be named as capital. That business is liable to return to owner. That amount liable to be returned to the owner is named as capital. And what comes in liability? Any amount payable or returnable by the company to the outsiders other than the owner will be called liabilities. Now this is also classifiable as what? Current and non-current. You can understand this easily. Current and non-current. Current will be is nothing but by the end of the current financial year end, within 12 months you have to pay. then it's called current. You have to close up that liability, then it's called current liabilities. You can pay even after 12 months, then that will be called as non-current liability. Is that okay? And the payment what you give gets no benefit at all. You paid but you don't get any benefit. Then what is this? This will be named as loss. Okay. 100 rupees I paid, I purchased a product and then realized it's an expired one, I cannot use, I throw it off. So what happens then? I paid but I didn't get any benefit out of which, then it's called loss. It's called loss. Payment gives me no benefit, loss. Payment gives benefit, enjoyable within the end of the financial year. Expenses, payment gives me benefit beyond 31st March, end of the financial year, but within 12 months, then it's called asset but current. Payment gives me benefit beyond the 31st March, that financial year ends, but more than another 12 more months, then it is called non-current asset. The same logic will be applicable for the liability also. We have the current liabilities. Any receipts. For that, if I am supposed to answer, then it is called liability. I get the fees from you, I have not completed the classes. What does it mean? I collected the fees, I have not taught you. Then it's my commitment. It's my commitment, or I'm liable to you. Right. So the same happens. I collect the money, I didn't fulfill my commitment, then it's called liability. I have to fulfill within 12 months, then current liability. I have to fulfill after 12 months, then it's called non-current liabilities. I issued the debentures. I borrowed from the banker, home loan, house, car loan, whatever it may be, with a commitment that I'm going to repay only after 5 years. Then it's called current, non-current liabilities. I'm liable but not current, non-current liabilities. That's how you can understand. In accounting equation, simple sense, asset is nothing but summation of capital plus liabilities alone. Okay, whatever the transaction may be, you can very easily handle this equation, keeping this equation for any posting also in journal entry form. Right? Come on, finish up copying this.